When I was 21, I was a complete loser and I was living in fantasy land, basically thinking that I could take a shortcut out of just going through the hard stuff that it actually takes to become a man. And I was thinking crypto was going to save me. I was living online and I was just trying to avoid the hard truth that the only way to becoming independent and a man that you're proud of is by doing the obvious hard stuff. Now, I was 21 and I was a complete loser, in and out of depression, and I was letting it get the better of me. But moving out of my parents' house into a new city was the best decision. And it took me out of my own head, and it made me realize that life and becoming a man is taking on responsibility when you're not ready. You may think you're saving money, you may think you're playing it smart, but life is so much more than the money that you make. Because in these early stages of your life, it's about building that character. Because money comes and goes, but who you are, no one can take that away from you. The real heart, the real skills and personal skills and the real resilience that you build through things like this, through moving out of your hometown, moving away from your parents' home, is invaluable. And whether you realize it or not, you're shrinking living with your parents in the same house, because you have no idea what it's like to leave that nest and really live real life. And it happened to me by getting a corporate job, moving up to Bristol, having to manage bills, tax, just all the daily responsibilities of truly living on your own. And the hardest part was living with someone else. It's easy to keep searching, keep jumping from this another get rich quick scheme, another distraction, to avoid facing the hard truth that it's going to take pain, it's going to take uncomfortable situations, and it's going to take moving through fear. And it's the same as it's always been. It's the same thing that your grandparents told your parents, that your parents told you, which that you'll then tell your kids. It never changes. You've got to pay your bills, you've got to clean up, you've got to buy your food, you've got to sort your schedule, and you've got to live with someone. And now living with someone is the biggest challenge. It's a challenge that taught me real emotional intelligence and emotional control. Because if your living space isn't right, then nothing else, everything flows from that. And everything else is going to be so much harder if it's hard for you at home. And if you're watching this, it probably is. If you're living with your parents, there's all of those different dynamics and challenges that come with it. And you may be saving money, but you are also paying with your own mental health, your own energy. I learned a lot about how to handle my temper, because before I moved up to Bristol, I was quite quick to get angry. I had a hot temper, and living with someone who was quite smart, and felt like he was older, but he felt like he was kind of reading me quite a lot, and he knew how to push my buttons. And to me, this felt like a bit of a test, because I had to be patient and I had to learn to be assertive and not confrontational. And there was a lot of, I was getting dragged into this tit for tat kind of game. There was a lot of little photos getting sent of, oh, you've left this little thing unclean, there's this and that. And then I started chiming in and playing the game, but I realized this guy was trying to play a game. And there was a lot of things where everything had to be paid back. But the only thing that wasn't paid back was weed. And this was at a time where I'd stopped smoking weed and I was doing really well. And this guy was an absolute weed addict to the fullest extent. It was a big lesson on how to guard my energy and not let these things get to me, and keep moving forward in the best way I can without getting pulled into this game that this guy's trying to play. I had to be slow to anger and use my emotions wisely to benefit my situation. And that helped me really understand what it is like to become a true man, because being a man is a massive part is managing your emotions. And I was under the illusion that being a man was being, tough, not taking stuff from anyone and, putting on a bit of an act. But it's about taking on responsibility, even if you're not ready for it, and keeping your emotions under control so they can benefit you and keep you moving forward in this world that keeps moving and doesn't care if you're having a bad day. You've got to keep getting on with it. You might be able to save some money in the short term, but you're sacrificing the character that you could be building. And that comes through doing things when you don't feel ready to do them.